Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video on my channel Hairliciously. If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe so that you guys are updated on hair loss and hair transplant topics, as well as updates on current hair loss treatments in the pipeline. Visit my website at hairliciously.com to purchase our microneedling device, which is scientifically proven to stimulate hair growth, my low-level laser therapy cap, DHT blocking shampoo, conditioner, and serum, hair growth vitamins, and a few other products to help those who are losing hair. In today's video, I wanted to share with you another interesting development ongoing in the hair loss community regarding a special molecule called SCUBE3, and this is known to stimulate hair growth. And apparently there's been a huge hype about this over the past few months, as some are even speculating that this may very well be a cure to treating hair loss. As you guys are well aware, there's only 2 FDA-approved hair loss treatments in the US, and they've been well around for the past 2 decades. We have finasteride, which is a 5-AR inhibitor that blocks a chunk of testosterone from converting into DHT. And then we have Minoxidil, which acts as a growth stimulant. And it's sad to say that even after nearly 30 years, there really hasn't been anything better that has officially been approved to replace these 2 hair loss treatments. The good news, however, is that there has been a crazy amount of developments and studies ongoing in the past couple years. And more recently, things are actually looking pretty optimistic for hair loss sufferers, as better treatments are emerging. To name a few, we have Kintor's KX826, pyrolutamide. This is an anti-androgen that supposedly is on par with dutasteride in terms of efficacy. We also have GT20029, which is an androgen receptor degrader. And we have verteporfin, which is one of my favorite topics, where studies show that it miraculously regrew hair on FUE scars. CRISPR/Cas9 gene therapy. We have Stemcell Therapeutics regarding their iPSC-based treatment. Hope Medicine's HMI-115 targeting the prolactin receptor. And now we can potentially add SCUBE3 to the growing list of new treatments for treating androgen alopecia. So let's go ahead and take a quick look what SCUBE3 is all about. Here's an article that was published back in June of 2022. A group of researchers from the University of California, Irvine, discovered that a signaling molecule called SCUBE3 was found to stimulate hair growth and potentially serve as a cure for hair loss. The study, titled "Hedgehog Signaling Reprograms Hair Follicle Niche Fibroblasts to a Hyperactivated State," determined the precise mechanism by which the dermopapilla cells, these are specialized signal-making fibroblasts at the bottom of each hair follicle, promoted new hair growth. Although it's well known that dermopapilla cells play a pivotal role in controlling hair growth, the genetic basis of activating molecules involved has been poorly understood. At different times during the hair follicle life cycle, the very same dermopapilla cells can send signals that either keep follicles dormant or trigger new hair growth. We revealed that SCUBE3 signaling molecule, which dermopapilla cells produce naturally, is the messenger used to tell the neighboring hair stem cells to start dividing, which heralds the onset of new hair growth. The production of activating molecules by the dermopapilla cells is critical for efficient hair growth in mice and humans. In people with androgenic alopecia, dermopapilla cells malfunction, greatly reducing the normally abundant activating molecules. A mouse model with hyperactivated dermopapilla cells and excessive hair, which will facilitate more discoveries about hair growth regulation, was developed for this research. Studying this mouse model permitted us to identify SCUBE3 as the previously unknown signaling molecule that can drive excessive hair growth. Further tests validated that SCUBE3 activates hair growth in human follicles. Researchers microinjected SCUBE3 into mouse skin in which human scalp follicles have been transplanted, inducing new growth in both the dormant human and surrounding mouse follicle. These experiments provide proof of principle data that SCUBE3 or derived molecules can be a promising therapeutic for hair loss. So as stated in the article, there are a bunch of signaling pathways in the hair cycle induction and interplay between epithelial and mesenchymal cells. Just to name a few, we have the Wnt pathway, which plays an essential role during hair follicle morphogenesis. We have the dermal-specific sonic hedgehog signaling pathway, which I will actually go more into detail, and this is known to regulate hair follicle epithelial growth. There's the Notch signaling pathway that regulates hair follicle stem cell differentiation, the BMP signaling pathway that helps with dermopapilla cell function and progenitor cell differentiation. So, there's obviously a lot of different various signaling pathways that affect and modulate the hair growth cycle. The one the researchers actually focused on in this study was the sonic hedgehog signaling pathway. And in this study, scientists created mutated mice where the mutation caused the hedgehog pathway to have a specific gene called the SMO receptor, which mediates signal transduction in the hedgehog pathway to be continuously activated. This in turn made the hedgehog signaling pathway to never turn off. And just as an FYI, there are numerous studies that you guys can look up that show that constitutive activation of the hedgehog pathway has been shown to regulate proliferation of cancer stem cells and increase tumor invasiveness. Basal cell carcinoma, aka skin cancer, and medulloblastoma, which is actually a type of rare brain cancer found in adolescents. Typically, adolescents are two well-recognized cancers with mutations in components of the hedgehog pathway. Now, the interesting thing to note here for the hedgehog pathway is that after birth, the signaling pathway in adult skin are shut down to avoid inappropriate activation. Once this pathway is shut down, it means that our skin loses ability to make new hair follicles. So logically, by continuously activating the hedgehog pathway, it gives scientists the potential to reactivate developmental programs such as inducing new hair follicle growth, despite the known adverse side effects involving cancer proliferation. Anyway, for the sake of this research, the scientists simply activated the on switch in the hedgehog pathway to see what effect this would have on hair growth on mutated mice. The study showed that the anagen phase of the hair cycle in the mutated mice with the hyperactive hedgehog pathway actually started prematurely, a lot quicker compared to the control group. And not surprisingly, new hair growth proliferation was also seen. But because the researchers didn't know what exactly in the signaling pathway was driving hair growth, they used single-cell RNA sequencing and compared cells from the genetically modified mice and controlled mice once again. They found out that one of the top upregulated signaling pathways as a result of the hedgehog pathway in the dermal papilla cells in mutant mice, but not in the control group, was something known as SCUBE3. So what the investigators did to test to see if SCUBE3 indeed stimulated hair growth was that they performed a series of experiments with the protein, first deleting it from the mice, then injecting it into normal mice, and then injecting it into mice with human hair follicles grafted to their skins. These all showed that SCUBE3 drives hair growth, and crucially with the last experiment, human hair growth was also seen. So overall, this is pretty exciting news because the study was actually on grafted human scalp skin rather than inducing hair in bald mice. And on top of that, SCUBE3 actually promoted new hair follicles, which means a potential for a hair loss cure is a possibility. In addition, Dr. Rasman, I'm sure that you guys have heard of him, heard of his name from time to time. He is a reputable doctor in the hair loss community who is also partaking research with his company and stated that they should be conducting human clinical trials within the next year or so. But, to give you guys my honest opinion, I always take these research studies with cautious optimism. For example, WADE 316606, an inhibitor of the SFRP-1 protein, an endogenous antagonist of the Wnt signaling pathway, hasn't really gone to fruition. I believe the last update from them was that they were investigating several analogs of whey that have similar structure but with slight variations, and basically it has taken the form of an over-the-counter alternative that hasn't really seen any progress, kind of like Lotion, although I did recall seeing a product released around SFRP-1. But since there really hasn't been much hype and updates, I'm guessing that there wasn't any compelling data to share to really show that it was impactful and significant in treating hair loss. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, there's just so much more than just DHT and androgens afflicting hair loss in men and women. There's so many different signaling pathways that we've seen, as well as their downstream effects in the dermal papilla cells that have their each individual importance in the regulation of hair follicles. And I feel like it's really a step forward investigating other aspects that could potentially one day improve current hair loss medications and maybe serve as a cure for treating hair loss. But until then, I will keep you guys updated on anything that I hear on SCUBE3. At the earliest, we probably will hear something regarding their potentially human clinical trials early next year. But let me know in the comments below on what you guys think about this new mechanism of action in treating hair loss. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.